Hi everyone, let's paint together today this 30 centimeters mandala, and I was inspired by a really beautiful sunset and just realized that this is the color of summer evening sky. So let's paint this together today. As always, we need to find the center. Base already covered. Every material in description box below this video, obviously. Literally found this color exactly how I saw this, and base I covered the best already. We are creating circles every 1 centimeter and lines every 15 degrees. And if you need to find any instruction how to find the center, I link in video how you can do this. So making marks, don't do this too bright because you will need to remove this. Obviously I'm making this a little bit brighter because I need to make it visible for you guys, but technically it should be just visible for you. So everything red. I will create a couple of custom colors because it's kind of I'm looking for that color that I saw that evening. So base already covered, as I said, and I will create a couple of custom colors with the same color and white. And these 3 colors always also custom color because this is too bright yellow, but you can find any yellow and mix it also with white. And these 2 colors I will use just like they are. White peach and baby blush, they're exactly this tone that I saw in the sky. And obviously I will get some 3 drops. Actually I got the order, this white color I will use. And these tones also kind of 3 drops, kind of plain with these tones that I saw. This is Nuvo. It's a little bit greenish tone. Frozen frosts, I remember, bluish and a little bit even pinkish. So this is kind of I believe you know how beautiful sky could be, and every evening is like not like any other evening sky, especially when it's sunny, it's beautiful and summer starting. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but this is the colors I did choose. So let's start it. And first I will create central big dot with my first custom color. And this is the tone of the same color that I did choose for the base, just a little bit lighter. And obviously we kind of want to create sky, but how we can create sky? It's so incredible beautiful, but we will try to make it real. And with second custom color, I'm doing the small dots around. They're really small. You can use spots between the lines or make it dots as close as you can, but not touching each other. This is this classic rule how we are creating mandalas. And all these small dots will be visible on your final piece of art. So obviously try your best to make it as nice as you can. And also when it's dry out, we can come back and make it the dots a little bit bigger by placing more paint with the same or smaller tool and the same paint. By dotting the same way, but placing a new layer of paint on the same one. Like that. A little bit bigger tool I will use. The color is baby blush, and as you see I'm placing dots on a line, our first circle line, and I'm trying to do this on every single line, so on a cross circle and regular lines. But If you can't, make it as small as possible and as close as you can, but not touching each other. So it made no sense to fit unfitable. So just do small dots as close as you can. If it's possible with your particular custom mandala, place dots on these crosses of lines. And you again can come back later on and make your dots a little bit bigger. So do just small ones for now. And the next one, I will use bigger tool, and my choice of color will be white peach. So you see, I'm leaving some space. I will fill this with another tone. I'm not sure what I wanna do with this space yet. So because I got so many beautiful colors, so for now I'm doing just these nice dots. And again, you're doing your dots as close as you can, but not touching each other. And again, you can come back later on when everything dry out. I put a little bit more paint on the top of these dots, and this way you can make it more pop out from the surface. This is one of the tricks that we can use to make this nice 3D volume, even just with a paint. We are not even talking yet about 3D drops. Like that, we finished. And the next, let's do bases for our first row of flowers. On the next circle line, and I'm using bigger tool, and you see I decided to go between next lines and every second line. And also I am using my custom color number 2, and you see it's lighter than a base but at the same tone. Again, you can make this pretty big, these dots, so they will be pop out. Even later on we will place more details on the top. With my custom color number 3, I'm walking around this base. I'm doing 3D drops the regular way, as usually how we're doing. And you see I'm walking around, so on top obviously a little bit bigger dot and walking around, but I'm walking literally around these dots. So I'm leaving literally the space between our previous row of dots and this new one. And I'm planning to add more details later on, but for now, dots that I'm placing, they are going like exactly around this dot. And this one a little bit too big, I believe I need to remove. Usually I'm just even leaving like that because it's nice when it's big, but this is kind of a little bit too much. So when paint the fresh yet, you can carefully remove this and create the size that you want to create. And carefully walking around, remember that all your dots will be visible, so try to be as careful as you can, but still I don't like when we are a little bit stuck with making it perfect and forgetting to enjoy the process. So don't be harsh to yourself, and remember you can fix a lot of details later on with another color, another details on the top. Like, we can do a lot. Let's move forward with our Second custom color, I want to create more dots around. Really nice. And I decided to do 3 dots on the top, and after that walk around. Yes, you need a little bit bigger tools in this case. So we are making 2 dots on top of this biggest one we just created, and third one will be again on the top of these 2. This is the trick how we can create how we can choose nice location for our dots. In my particular situation, you see my third one is going right below a little bit on the top of this next circle line. But obviously, in your project, it could be not exactly like that. Don't worry about that. Because of how we're using paint, tools we are using, even how much paint from the tool going down on our painting, this kinda can create a little bit different sizes. So don't be stuck. Marks that with white pencil we are creating to help us. Don't be like stuck with those. You just like orientation on your map. And with the same color and a little bit smaller tool, we are walking around. And you see, I'm walking around again. I'm going really close to the base. Usually, actually, I'm leaving some space and going down, but no, now I decided to go literally around. And you see these dots so small, so cute. And small it's going, it's really nice, it looks like. And one more advice I want to say, and I'm noticing this, I'm doing this myself, unfortunately. Sometimes it's really difficult for our brain to be concentrating on so small details. So sometimes we are tired. So if you feel that you can't create so small dots, just give yourself a time and come back later on to your project when you will be rested and can enjoy the painting. For now, let's move forward. And I decided to go with baby blush again. And again, 3 drops. So I'm putting dots on the line in my case, and third one on the top. The same trick, plus minus. Don't rush. And obviously with the smaller tool and the same color, walking around. As you see, again, I'm really close to the base. Even with these dots, I'm not walking around completely. I don't want to go this too far. I'm just giving this nice like shadows of these beautiful colors. And reminding, I'm trying to recreate the palette that I did see in the sky. I believe you saw the sunsets a lot. So obviously you can even manipulate with another colors if you believe so. Look how beautiful it is. Really, really nice. I like these colors. Let's do one more row around with dots and custom color number 1. And yes, a little bit bigger tool. I don't want to do 3 dots. I will create 1 bigger dot like that. You see, with my sizes, it's really on the top of this next circle line. Actually, to be honest, it's really beautiful even with 1 dot. And with a smaller tool, I'm walking around. But you see, my previous row of dots like kind of really close. So I'm not going down too much. I'm more like between flowers now. If you got some space, you can go around, obviously. It's really how it looks on your custom painting. Really beautiful and like in a gentle. So when everything dried out, I added a little bit more paint on the top of the dots as I advised before. And now I want to add a little bit tone. I decided to add my custom color number 3. And you see how I'm placing the dots. I'm moving a little on the same line as my dots located. But you can go between the dots if you want to. And it's some space still left. I will add more details later on. But I like this. I think this combination is working. And again, you can do a little bit smaller dots and come back later on if you're trying to be careful with your dots. So let's create base for our bigger flowers. As you see, I passed one line and creating base for my flowers with the color is baby blush. And this going between on the lines between the previous row of flowers we just created with dots using this space. And with the same color, I'm using small brush, I will create a couple of strokes around. But I decided, because we are creating the sky, why we should go the classic way. Sky is never the same, like every moment, every day. So I'm doing first strokes, as you see, only from one side. I'm starting from this line and going around and releasing brush like that. Only one side now. Pressing, releasing brush, pressing, releasing brush. Like that. And now I will start basing from the same line like a mark, but I will go a little bit up. The same color, baby blush. So I'm starting over there. I'm going around. It's so my top of my flower kind of a little bit not symmetric, but actually this is the point. I'm using the same brush. I'm creating this interesting configuration of strokes. And this is kind of a symbol how sky is never the same. The next color I want to use my custom color number 3. And again, I'm starting a little bit on the top. I'm on my next circle line, actually, as you see. So technically, I'm using the same techniques, how we are creating flowers and strokes, but I'm starting a little bit, every stroke I'm starting a little bit on the top. And yes, on the top of my strokes, I'm trying to be really close, but I'm not on the top of each other. But end of strokes, as usually when we're creating flowers, yes, I'm placing end of the strokes like on the top of each other to make it really thin and nice. Like that. And from another side, again, I'm doing with custom color number 3. And again, I did start a little bit on the top over there, like that. Pressing, releasing brush. Pressing, releasing brush. These flowers will be really big and really unusual and symbolizing our clouds in the sky. It's obviously always big and always unusual. Like that, last one. The next one is my custom color number 2. A little bit bigger brush. Just a little bit. You can technically use the same small size. Look at your sizes, and obviously it really depends how you're placing strokes. And you see, again, I started again higher than my previous one, and I decided to do both sides at the same time because we already see how it goes. So one on the top and next one also on the top. Pressing brush and releasing. Pressing and releasing. A little bit with custom colors, when we are mixing, we're adding a lot of air, so try to remove all bubbles. You can literally, you see on the video how I'm trying, even with a brush, if I saw some, like remove this to avoid creating holes in our paint when everything are out. These flowers will be really big, but it's kind of working. And now let's create even more strokes. The color I want to use white peach. And maybe you need like middle-sized brush for this one. Because we are going wider, bigger, and you need like middle-sized brush for this one. And again, the same rule. I'm starting on the top, going around, and next one from another side also a little bit on the top. Not on the top of each other, I need to explain myself, but like higher than previous one. I believe you can see this on video. As close as you can, but you see it's really nice when you leave in a little bit space. To use your marks line. So as you see, I'm placing the top of my strokes really on this one lines, just going up and up and up. And to balance these flowers, I want to create from this line more like this time our regular way of creating the strokes. So I will start from this third from the edge line, just 2 strokes around. The custom color is number 2. Like that. The strokes really close to each other and space between flowers. You can regulate this, how much left for you. You can make it a little bit wider or thinner. Really, literally up to you. And there are some space between flowers. We can try to play later on with this when our strokes dry out and we can't mess up. So what I'm gonna do, I'm creating base for these flowers on the top just with 3D drops. I'm using frosted lake color. All materials, as I said, in description box below this video. So I'm doing 3D drops. You see on the video. The plane we are playing between our flowers. I'm doing 3 drops. Central one a little bit bigger and 2 from both sides smaller. And I'm giving nice space between. Remember that if you're placing those too close, they may combine. So give it some space. And with thin tool, or you can use needle. Sometimes I'm doing this. I'm creating a really nice tails and kind of combine this in one flower. And yes, you need to be careful until they dry out. So if you're worried that you may mess up a little bit, wait until it's dry out. So you can literally place 3 drops like that and wait and start to do next steps the next day. Like that. So I want to play around, but as I said, you need really be careful and wait maybe when everything dry out. So what I'm gonna show you now that you can add more colors on the top. By on the top I mean you can use the same tool or smaller and the same color, and when everything dry out, and I'm doing this the next day, I'm putting more paint on the top, and this will give like additional 3D volume, 3D effect on your dots. You can come back even a couple of times if you want to make it bigger. And again, if you want to add more details, wait until everything dry out. So next step, I want to place 3 drops over there. I left the space exactly because of this reason. I will use dark egg blue tone, and you see I'm placing small dots on a lines, and placing this way I can drag with thin tool or with needle tails between my previous row of dots. You can see this on the video like that. So you should get enough space. You see I got space between my dots, and this shouldn't be too big, because if those too big, you see you can drag material, but your tails will be too big and will be on the top of other dots, or just kind of not so nice. So small one, really cute. And the tone of this color is so nice, so sky blue. Even the name of this 3 drops is dark egg blue, as I said, but really nice color. It's really like, it's exactly for this painting. It's like walking, like that. Yes, now you need to be pretty careful and don't mess up with this until material dry out, so be really careful. And you can remove additional material as you see. I will place another color on the top of this center one, but later on. So over there we also got some ideas. So I got really interesting colors in my collection. This is my new order, and I'm just want to know how to play this, so I'm leaving this for the next step. Now I want to place with strokes around this space that we created. I created the day before, at least. This is my custom color number 3, and with small brush I'm just starting around the level of these dots with small strokes like that. Pressing and releasing brush, pressing, releasing. And really wanna, with these tones, colors combination, I wanna show you that the picture that stayed in my mind, I'm regretting that I didn't make a photo. These nice shadows of yellowish, pinkish tone, like kind of bluish, dark bluish, lighter bluish, and with like really nice and like so beautiful. If you find any like dried piece of paint, definitely remove it immediately when you saw this. Don't let it dry out like that. More strokes around. You see, I got some space. That's why I can play with tones and colors. So I'm using baby blush. I can go around, but I decided to go a little bit double down on this shape that I just created. I'm using the same brush, making these strokes a little bit longer and playing with the space between these big flowers we just created. Really up to you the size that you may decide, but that is my idea when I'm playing with the base, with another color of base than just black. So because it's already blue, it's already like a color, and we can literally place tones as I'm doing this right now, but the blue base tone, it's already like a color, so you don't need to fill everything on your surface because you already got a color. That's why I like to experiment with something like that. And you see, sometimes it's a little bit less space, so you can manipulate with the size of your strokes. Definitely. Like that. So there are some space. I will fill later on, but let's fill this. This is this an edge of our mandala. With our dark egg blue, I'm creating this big enough stroke dot, making the tail and placing 2 from both sides later on. So big one, tail, 2 from both sides. Remember to leave some space between, because when you're doing like that, it's a little bit more risky. So obviously to decide yourself, but it's tricky. But if you got enough practice, obviously you can do both. I want to play a little bit with strokes around, and as a color I will use my second custom color. So technically I'm playing now. I like to add a little bit tones, nuances. So I'm going around of this with these flowers, middle size or even small brush. I'm not even creating like really classic flowers, just strokes like that, and playing a little bit with this space and combining flowers, 3D drops all together. And again, we can be free in this sense because we got this blue base of our mandala. It's already the color, and we just added nuances on the top. Literally what's going on with the sky. The clouds are like these nuances on the blue sky. Like that. Next one, I will use smaller brush, and the color is so I am playing with these stones, obviously that I already used, and I decided to go with this custom color number 3 and doing the small strokes around this 3 drop we just created, like that. And end of my strokes going on the top of this bluish one we just created, and we kind of still playing with the strokes, but at the same time we are creating new flowers. I believe it makes sense, yeah? Hopefully. I like that. So I'm kind of playing with the strokes, kind of adding nuances, and kind of creating new, like, unusual flowers. And with the size, look at your custom painting and do this a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. Just play with the space. Like that. Still with a small brush. The color is, let's do white peach again. But you can use baby blush. And you see, I'm just adding 2 small strokes closer to this bluish one. And again, end of the strokes like on the top of this combination, so it's kind of flower. And it's not usual flower, definitely, but it kind of makes sense because clouds they're never the same, they're always different. Beautiful. We got some space, we can add 3 drops over there too, obviously. We need to wait everything dry out until this moment and add much more 3 drops. So we are coming back. Everything dry out. I can add much more details on the top now. I decided to go with baby blush on the top of this our central dot. I'm using a little bit smaller tool, and you can place dot and within tool a little bit organize your dot or work with the shape of your dot. And the same trick you can come back later on, add a little bit more paint to make your dot looks nicer if you need, obviously. Just giving you an example how it could be. Over there we got some space, so I decided to add a little bit blue, small dot, and the custom color number 2. And I am literally like half of millimeter dots, and so I'm doing 2 dots from on the top of this around, may I say, this my yellowish dots that I created. You can see this on a video. And because everything are out, and I just don't like, because my dot like a little bit too big, I just remove this and place it again with smaller size as I want it. That's why sometimes we just really literally need to give it some time to dry out. So moving forward, I'm using a little bit bigger tool, as the color is baby blush, and you see we got some space between these 3 drops, blue ones that already dry out, and I'm literally diving my tool in the paint, and after that creating 2 dots like that, bigger on the bottom and smaller, without going second time into the paint, smaller with spot paint left on a tool. You can see in the video, really nice. You can technically even leave it without this and still will be really beautiful. I'm just decided to add more dots. Over there, I'm adding my pinkish 3 drops on top of these flowers, and the color is a Love Poison. Really small, really cute. And yes, it's kind of not visible that it's pinkish, but still some kind of visible. And over there, between my flowers with the same pinkish 3 drops, I'm creating one on this line, and with a thin tool I'm making tails towards the center, like that. I'm not touching my blue dots. Yes, it's going toward those, but I'm not touching, like that. And yeah, it's just like you kind of can't see that it's pinkish, but it still can. So for our eyes, it's still working. A really nice tone, additional details. And with greenish one, do you remember this frosted lake? We created base. I'm doing 2 from both sides, small ones. I'm not making tails. I'm giving some space also, not making this too close, but it's still between flowers. So it's giving more details, more tones of paint, of colors. like that. So let's play from this side. I'm not making between flowers because it's still blue color, but in the center I want to place small dots. So I'm using dark egg blue. I'm making one dot on the top of this base and one below, and really small, really tiny one on the spaces that left between our strokes. You can see this on the video. And this small trick, like literally making this so unusual and so interesting. If you can't create so small dots going from your bottle, so what you can do, you can place a little bit of this 3D drop material somewhere on the surface, and with thin tool just make it like you're doing dots with a paint. But material for that we are using with 3D drops like a little bit like stick, and it's literally giving this 3D effect. So it's still looks not like paint, even small ones. And yes, I wasted quite some time by creating these small dots, but I believe it's totally worth it. It's really interesting and really plain. And last one. Beautiful. I really like how this is working all together. And more spots left. So I'm using this pinkish one, 3 drops, just 2 from both sides. Really depends how much space you got. I'm getting enough space, so I'm just doing this. So what I'm doing, 2 dots from this both sides on the top of these big flowers, and 2 on these spots. You can place all dots first, and after that do the tails, or even you can add more dots. Really play with your custom painting. Maybe use another 3D drops. And after you finished, you need to give some time to everything dry out, a couple of days. After that, you can remove all marks that left. And after that, obviously, you can place some varnish on the top to preserve your painting, and it's ready to go on your walls. Really beautiful effect. So hope you enjoy the painting. Hope you enjoy your painting. More tutorials on my Patreon channel now available, and most of them free for my Patreon channel members. And please press like button, subscribe, enjoy your painting, and see you on next video. Bye.